Hey guys, if you don't mind, today I would like to share a few thoughts about Bitcoin macro vision and even local one. Uh, if you're into it, let's get to it. So, if you look at our previous video, I was talking about this week, the one of the biggest weekly weeks that we had, and that run that followed this uh, this week's already previous weeks uh, huge weekly candle, green candle that helped us overcome this long time resistance that we had before. And if you will turn on the ATR here, we will see that we crossed that ATR on that move, on that power. And it makes sense to me because how else are you going to cross that weekly such a strong resistance? And this is also the 200 EMA resistance that we held for as resistance for almost a year here. So definitely we needed to break it on such a big volume. um, I mean the high P volume and on this huge candle. So basically what we have right now, I still stand by the thought that this candle will have to be covered at least partially, at least at 2500, 2800 thousands here, because definitely we never leave these candles this kind of candles uncovered. Basically, it doesn't mean we are going to go for the recovery next week or month, or it can last for almost a half a year or a year also. As you can see, if you will see for the history, we had the similar one here, as I showed is as my main example here, yeah. And it would mean that we would start, as you can see, and where this the price stopped here, as you can see, this is the 2021 yearly open. This is where everything mostly started. Here the new range, we started trading and forming the new range, macro range on Bitcoin. And this is the yearly open. Of course it can be different based on these weeks, and there are plenty of them. And if you look at my other chart, the logarithmic chart, as you can see here, I have a little bit another resistance here, and it looks kind of perfect to me, around 29,339. And this is the transition or transitory range here, where we can technically we can break it, and we can try to tap it, as everybody expects us to tap it right now, to touch it, or but we will see the reaction there anyway. This is the transitory. As you can see, we can cross it, we can cross it a little bit, but then buy back upon the support when it works as support. The same thing can happen here as when we try to retest it as resistance. We will get rejected from it each time. But here's the thing, and we will be back to it. So why I still believe we will have to recover this week, at least partially, because it is such a big weekly week, and it is even without the body, and building a new super cycle bull run on this thin heel doesn't make sense to me. It will not hold, in my opinion, here. And if we will look at our previous, here we have another one. Before we broke that 2020 the 2017 all-time high, we left another one, as you can see, the similar one, but it was even smaller one on the weekly, and this one also. And what you can see, we had the full run that was lasting for almost 2 years, I guess 2 years, yeah. And then we were back to recover it, and we finally recovered it. So definitely sooner or later we will recover it. But this kind of week, I think, and it was the crucial moment here, where we retested the previous all-time high. Currently, we are not retesting any all-time highs here. We are far from the all-time high. So definitely, I think it is going to be recovered in the, at least partially, in the next, I guess, half of the year, in my opinion, not more. And we always pay attention to these kind of candles. So I still stand by my opinion that we will cover it. The question is when, and the thing that we pumped so hard and it looks so bullish at this moment, it makes sense that if we come back that low, we can go even lower, right at our to our bottom at least. And nobody knows, but I'm not telling this is going to happen, but definitely we need to hold this in mind. And definitely we have this yellow candle, which means that we will recover it at least partially soon, in my opinion. Let's look at the lower time frames on the daily. What we have here, definitely we have this trend line that worked us, another one that helped us to find the bottom here, as you can see. And 25,000 is a great support right now. 25,500 has flipped and became our support. So in my opinion, everybody expects us from $32,000 at this moment, and everybody is expecting it. And all I can see is everybody is telling on CT that we are going to 32, 40,000, 48, or something like that. I'm not talking about million. This is nonsense, of course. In 90 days or even a year or two, this is nonsense. Those people just don't know how the market structuring and price action and market makers work and algorithms work. So definitely we had this week and this week we will have to cover, not immediately, and we cover them all the time. If you remember, I told you these huge spilling candles, it doesn't matter whether it is a spilling candle to the downside or the pumping candle, we always cover them. As you can see here, we had a set of candles here and we recovered them with these ones. So basically when you see these, you find a good accumulation and you can buy spot, and you will always be you will be winning in the long run and in midterm. So as you can see here, we had the highest spilling candle here, and we covered it with this move right now. And also we have another one higher at from 32 to $38,000. But it is my opinion, I do not think we are going to cover it in the closest time, in my opinion. We will have to spend some time before that. So what we have right now, clearly an inefficiency that will have to be covered sooner or later. And this candle that we marked, this 28,600 resistance, and this transitory area where we can actually come to that area, we either can stop at 29,300 plus that I mentioned before based on this chart, or we can actually go for what everybody is expecting, around 32,000, get back under and retest back this trend line, this midterm trend line. We will retest it sooner or later anyway. But what I see locally, let's enable our, we don't need Kijun here. What I am looking at, these candles, we closed with this candle. It can be deceiving one. Why? Because usually it plays out like we're retesting higher and we are going and closing somewhere here below, and maybe then we will start the recovery again or again, something like this, and maybe at some point we'll lose this trend line and we'll go for the retest and recovery of this inefficiency. Yeah, we'll change the color, I guess. But don't be very biased here, because if it tries to go lower. It shows on the lower time frames that this daily wants to go lower, but it doesn't. We see the resistance somewhere here, and it will start by the end of the day. It will start pumping and probably will break it and will go higher. So be very careful with this one. You need to see the play out. But also we have this, and the more candles like this we will have, those spindling candles with those pumping huge candles with no trading areas, definitely these are those that we are going to recover when we reverse, and we will reverse, and you can catch some money on those shirts if you position right. And let's get back on to the weekly chart and what we can see here. Definitely, as long as we are above this ATR and above this 25,500, I guess the Bitcoin is safe for bulls. The moment we lose this trend line on the daily, I guess definitely it is not good. And if we lose it and close below it, definitely it is not good, because technically we can lose it and go for the retest, then start higher or something like this, and we will be back again to the second one trend line as we mentioned before, and this is again here, and this would be already diving under it. It depends where we are going to retest it, or if we retest it here, then definitely it is going to be support, and if we lose it, then definitely it is a bailout situation. What else I would like to say? This is a global trend line. This green thick trend line, this is the global trend line, and this will tell us where is going to be 100% resistance for us, because only when we break this trend line, the next super cycle, bull run super cycle, crazy super cycle can start. Only when we break it, and if it doesn't even guarantee that bull run will start from it, maybe it will guide us as our resistance the whole next super cycle. Nobody knows, but definitely until we break it, there will be no super cycle bull run. And technically, if we would try hard and break all this resistance, definitely this is where we would get the resistance, and I would short like crazy. But definitely it is early to say about this kind of scenario. I don't believe in it at this moment. Why? Because let's look at the monthly. We need to see how this March is going to close, and I told you that before. Let's look at it. This monthly opening was right upon this Kijun monthly. It was as our support before, and now we are trying to cross it, and that is why the volatility is so high. The market tries to decide how we are going to close it, and resistance was this 30 EMA was always works as my high time frame resistance, and it worked at some point here. It can break a little bit with a fake out, but it comes back. Now I'm looking, we've got, I don't know how many, 9 days, 10 days left of this month, and it is very important how we are going to close this monthly, because for example, if we pump higher into this zone and we'll close this monthly somewhere here around $32,000, then the next monthly will open here, right, and Kijun will become and we won't lose this Kijun, and it will become our support that will push us higher. Definitely that is the scenario where we would mark these highs actually, and would be that crazy. And then after that we would get rejection, find it as support, then probably we'll try to do some other crazy move here, and then we will lose it, and then we will go low for the retest of the trend lines that and some weeks that we lost before lower, as you can see here, as we talked about before. This is the most bullish scenario that I can think of. But if we this month we will start recovering and get back for the retest of this 200 EMA and this 25,500 resistance now support, if we are going for the retest of it and we close somewhere here, then definitely we can go for the retest of this current support, current resistance of that 2021 yearly yearly support resistance now, this line. Then we can get rejected and we can go in the opposite direction, because then this this green candle, if it will be with a wick at the upside and it will open somewhere at this level, we don't know it yet. It is just the possibility, and we are discussing the scenarios, possible scenarios here. Then it can become our local and midterm reversal point. So we are not making any predictions, 100% or 70% predictions here. We are just discussing the possible scenarios and what we have to pay attention to, because all these indicators, all these trend lines and levels, they will tell you what to do. And as I always continue to repeat each time and each video and on my tweets, wait for the high time frame candles closes. They are very insightful if you understand what they mean, and they are showing you the range within which range the price is going to trade in the next month, in the next week, another day, and you can adjust your trading system according to it and your investment expectations too. So definitely pay attention to it based on this. And let's get back to this more clear chart, and I will try to explain to you why I think this level of resistance is a great one, and why we can actually start to reverse from it, feel it as rejection, resistance, and start kind of in a choppy way reversing. Because if Bitcoin starts chopping and starts to descending very slowly right now, that will lead for because the market currently, the domination of Bitcoin is at its yearly all-time highs. So definitely if Bitcoin starts chopping and descending slowly towards this 25,500 support for the retest, then the altcoins and maybe even Ethereum that will lead them together, they will follow with the correction, but at some point they will feel the power and they will start outperforming, and that would be a huge possibility for the alts to pump, to protect themselves from the possible Bitcoin's further correction, or whatever, to prepare for any scenario. So we have to be prepared for it. And why it makes sense to me, because not to mark this 32,000 as resistance and start reversing somewhere here around 28,600 or 29,300 something, 29,700. Why this level of resistance is so strong in my opinion here, at least locally. First of all, and not even locally, if I will be honest with you, I think it is even midterm resistance for us. Why? Because first of all, it was the 2021 yearly open. Second, market psychology. If you remember, I repeat that every time for you. When something starts to become a narrative, when the whole CT and the media, social media, and other bloggers, traders, investors start to repeating something like it is the only truth, the only rule on the market. The market maker always follows it, and it uses that against you. For example, everybody thinks that in 2024, when the halving is going to happen, the market is going to skyrocket as it was the years before, in the previous cycles during the history. And in my opinion, it can run right upon the 2024 halving, and after that, when nobody expects that, the market can start dumping heavily. This is my expectation. I am thinking that this time can be different, and the narrative of the crowd will be used against us. It is always used against us. So be careful with that. I'm not telling that this is going to happen 100%, but you have to be ready for any kind of scenario. So here, how the market maker's logic works here. So basically, why in my opinion everybody right now expects 32,000 as the first huge resistance, to start taking profits, or for market to reverse or to sell. And in my opinion, it is not very logical to give the crowd what it wants, meaning those $34,000. Why? Because let's look at the market and what we had when the market started dropping. The first crowd who was stuck in their bids, who were buying, for example, spot or maybe longs with a lot of funds, and they are not liquidated yet. People were buying first zones that where a lot of people were buying, expecting that the recovery will start soon, and we will go for the 120,000 as the CT gurus were telling you. And these are the first two zones where everybody was buying like crazy, and they are stuck in these purchases. And this was the second area where everybody was buying. So basically, if everybody is telling you right now that we will go to $32,000 somewhere there, 32, 34, and when we reach that level, we will have the first significant resistance, and the market is going to reverse and go for the correction, and then we'll be back. So basically, those people who were desperately buying here, and after that, and were especially here, a lot of people were buying here, and after that buyback here, everybody was buying a lot of orders for, and a lot of strong traders were buying and accumulating Bitcoin and other coins in these levels. So basically, those who were buying here, they are expecting like desperately that the price will come back here and they will sell it, because everybody knows that it is going to be our resistance here. So basically, there are two possible scenarios here. Everybody starts selling here and going to breaking even, and the price simply pumps higher without them. But that doesn't make sense for me, because if it comes to this level, then these guys that are more than a year in losses, they are going to dump heavily here, and that makes sense because this is the level of resistance here. And they would not 50,000, 48, 40, 45, somewhere 40, 38, 45,000. They will dump like crazy, and will feel this reaction. So basically, if we break through here, those who sold here upon this important level, they will start to rebuy in panic, and they will lead the price up to this zone, and these guys start to sell like crazy in panic. So definitely we will allow these guys to break even, and this will be the area where we 100% will go back down for the retest of the macro supports. And market maker doesn't want that. It doesn't want those guys to be free from their losses, and definitely they do not, in my opinion, want to free those guys. If they will free these guys, but only through breaking through and leading them to rebuy higher. So that is why, in my opinion, we don't want to let these guys to go to break even, to sell and then rebuy back, get back under and rebuy. For example, here this is going to be a great rebuy difference here, 32,000 and 21, 24, 23, completely other difference here. So definitely I was going to show it on that chart. Sorry, it was a little bit clearer here for me. Basically, if I see some kind of support here, what is going to happen here? Let me get back to it. So basically, in my opinion, there are a few kind of scenarios I am looking at it. We have this resistance. I think we are not going to break it and go to $32,000. I think we need to some kind of start chopping market here, start recovering, try to either get back under for the retest. If we hold this 25,000, this 200 EMA and this important support here, we will break from this Kijune's resistance, and it will become our support. Then probably expansion here. Then we will try, maybe we'll try some kind of choppy market and we'll be back, and somewhere here we will start market 32,000. Everybody thinks we are free, they are selling, kind of retest, and then we are pushing higher. Then we will have a lot of space to break higher. Then we will kind of touch these levels of resistance. Those guys already think that the new bull run has started already. They do not sell at this point, they do not sell there, and we are going down. So basically those who were expecting $34,000, they sold here and the price went higher at this point, and they are like, oh shit, we sold, we need to rebuy. They rebuy higher and they think the new bull run has started. And these guys who already were waiting for more than a year, they are like maybe for 1.5-2 years by that time, and they think, oh okay, everybody's telling that we are going to 100,000, and those guys who were expecting it to, who sold it at 32,000, they sold it. And they had to rebuy higher. I am not dumb. I am not going to sell my $40,000, $45,000 Bitcoin. I am going to hold it right upon 80,000 or 60,000 or 100,000, and the new bull run has started. And this is where they do not sell. And we have this deviation here, and we get back for the 28, 32,000. So basically, everybody's fooled here. This is what my vision, kind of vision here is. I'm not telling this is going to happen like this, and this is kind of our final bottom, but this is what I am thinking about the market makers and the crowds, the retail investors situation and vision here. That is why I think 32,000, giving 32,000 right now would be a mistake. Maybe some kind of, I guess, as I told you here, some kind of manipulative retracement here when everybody, and after that the altcoins can start dumping sharper, and everybody thinks, okay, this is the reversal and something like this, and then they will try to squeeze it and go for it. But definitely not right now, because everybody right now expect for 32,000. I might be wrong, and I would be to be wrong, because I'm ready for any kind of scenario here, guys. any kind of scenario. I have my spot holdings, and I'm not shorting at the moment, but if it goes higher, I know my Kijun resistances, I know my midterm and global trend line resistances, and I know where I'm going to start shorting, and I know where all these untraded areas, the more untraded areas has left below, the higher our chances we are going to recover them sooner, and I'm going to earn a lot more. Definitely, if kind of that bullish scenario, if we kind of try to, I don't think we are going to right here, but if it actually happens, then definitely we will, if we actually tap those $32,000, then probably okay, then we'll either close right here and we'll retest it and go for higher prices here, like I told you, where this global trend line, okay, I would short here hugely, or we will try to break it and get back under, and depending on how significant is going to be this rejection, then we are going to expect some further movements, and I am going to cover it on my Twitter account. You can subscribe to be up to date, or you can follow my rare videos here, because I don't post a lot, because not a lot of people watch these videos, and only those loyal subscribers, I guess, and on my Twitter account. And definitely it takes a lot of time to do something like this, and I don't like doing something that doesn't pay off. Okay guys, I guess that was clear. We also can look at some interesting situations here at the total. For example, first of all, at the TRX, this is one of the assets that show us that the market still can go wrong and go lower. As you can see, we covered this week here, as I told you before, to pay attention, and we went for it and we recovered it. Right now we have all this market climbing is building on these kind of thin hills. I don't think it is very reliable for building the next macro bullish formation. Maybe I am wrong, but definitely this one will have to be covered. I'm not telling you already about these guys, but this one will have to be covered sooner or later. So basically, what a TRX on the weekly, what can we see here? Let's look at the monthly. For example, if we look at this monthly doesn't look bullish. For example, we can have, if it closes like this, for example, we'll go for the retest of it, and maybe will be some kind of buyback, and we will open the next monthly in June somewhere here. Then we can go for 8 cents, maybe even higher, up to this monthly resistance. Then will be this at 9 cents. There is going to be a huge resistance and maybe a huge reversal from there, so be careful guys. From the weekly perspective, what can I see here? Definitely an interesting situation here. If we try to break through here, we can try something like this, retest again the Kijun as resistance and get rejected and get back. Maybe after that we'll kind of do something like this and we'll get back like that. Who knows, if we lose this trend line as support, then definitely retest it and go lower. That's it, that's the target. But there is also a possibility that we will break it abruptly, we'll get back, try something like that, and definitely we'll have to watch Kijun. We try to break it and deviate it and get back under with a spilling handle. The same can happen again. Follow this chart. The Tron chart is very insightful and works until it this bearish formation is not invalidated. Let's look at the crypto total. Okay, it looks a little bit messy, but who follows me long enough can understand it. We have the 2020 trend line, as always, works as our great resistance here. If we flip it, meaning we already flipped another one from the 2017 already, as we already tried to do, then we got not very lucky and we dumped under it again. So what we are doing right now, we are retesting our yearly, not yearly, it is the range resistance of the biggest huge range, higher range. So basically if we can't break it, then we go under it and get back under, and we will recover this again with this uncovered candle, and we will get for reclaim, and then after that something can happen. But there is the possibility, high possibility, how this, we need to follow how this weekly is going to close, because if we find a great support here upon this previous trend line here, dotted trend line, if we pump and break this 2020 trend line and secure it, then definitely we become very bullish here. And I don't know what to expect here, because it is going to be huge in my opinion. So there's a reason we can try to retest and then get rejected. That would make sense for me, and try something like this and go lower. In my opinion, at this moment, we kind of not ready to enter that huge bullish range, in my opinion. Let's look at the total 2 without Bitcoin, and it looks kind of more interesting here, because we have approached this yearly, I guess, not yearly, less than a year, okay, but almost resistance here. Also the range resistance, as always, we have these 2 trend lines based on how you are going to build them. It is either the top one precisely, ignoring this kind of fallout here, or the one that counts them, and both of them are very insightful here. So basically if we hold this one, we can, this week, if we hold it and we start recovering, we can break it, then probably go to 755 billion market cap, and then start the retracement a little bit, then recover, and then go for it. This is one scenario. If we get rejected significantly here and get under it, then we definitely will recover this inefficiency, this again, this week that we left on any time frames that we have on any charts related to Bitcoin and the market. And definitely if we hold it, then we can start reclaiming this Kijun support, and this is going to be a huge support here. Then we can start some kind of run. Okay, this is what I wanted to tell you about the market. And also I wanted to take a look at S&P. In general, it moved like I expected here. After this huge spilling candle and rejection from the Kijun, what else we have here? Definitely not the ATR will turn on the super trend. And what we have here precisely, okay, we tried to retest, we broke this super trend resistance. Definitely we are retesting this support to prove that the trend for S&P has changed into a bullish one, but we still felt this resistance of the Kijun, and we tried to, let's look at the daily, we almost lost this and then reclaimed it. And what we can see on the daily, what I was expecting and telling you before, we will reclaim it and we'll try to retest it, and in my opinion we will retest it upon this local trend line, counter trend line resistance, and we'll feel rejection again. Maybe we'll slide a little bit lower, and then maybe somewhere here we will form some kind of reversal and go like this, not like everybody is expecting, and I heard from a lot of people on the in the trading community and on the social media. So definitely we need to follow this one, and it makes sense actually for me, because on the daily, as you can see, we have again here this trend line we have as a resistance, and we had this red one, but the next daily closed with the green one. Okay, it means that the next one has to be the green one too. Okay, we have the daily resistance of the Kijunen super trend here and this local counter trend line. Logically, we need to feel the rejection, some kind of rejection here. Again, retracement and retest of this supporting counter trend, global trend, counter trend line that works for us. It worked as a resistance for many months, for a year for us, and even more. And now it works as our support, and we can slide back under up to this one, or to the yellow one. Yeah, like I was expecting, would be logical to me. Maybe it will start pumping right after that, reclaiming, but maybe it will come to this one, and then we will try to show some kind of recovery market, and the shares will start recovering and bouncing. But then it can still go locally when the Fed is going to reverse its policy. There is possibility then we will finally mark this green line that I was talking to you about. Maybe we will stop at this yellow one, and we will go forward for it for the next market. But there's still possibility of marking this green one, and it is on the table. It is going to be on the table, I guess, for a long time, unless we invalidate it with the reclaim of this purple one and we reclaim it and go higher. So definitely this is the bigger picture I see on S&P, and it all makes sense to me. I guess it was clear to you guys, and I guess some things were useful to you, and you can use it in your trading or building your investment strategy or risk management strategies. So if it was useful to you, show me at least with your likes. Goodbye.